Hello folks, and welcome to this week's Hi-Fi News, etc. I have some trivia for you in a moment, then we'll get on with some Hi-Fi news, and then I've got kind of post-review comments to make, a few of those, so we'll get to that. Anyway, trivia. And we are continuing the media studies theme, and we have a new question for you, which is this. During the Live Aid broadcast in 1985, was it really 1985? Seems like yesterday. Anyway, during the Live Aid broadcast in 1985, the one and only Phil Collins flew across the Atlantic on Concorde. I don't know if you remember that. So that he could say he played with two acts on different sides of the Atlantic on the same day. Who were the two acts? One more time. During the Live Aid broadcast in 1985, Phil Collins flew across the Atlantic on Concorde, so that he could say he played with two different acts on two sides of the Atlantic on the same day. Who were those two acts? So once again, please don't Google the answers. This is just a bit of fun and that will spoil things. So just have a little think and have a muse, and at the end of the video, I will give you some answers. Until then, Hi-Fi News. And to begin with, we have AVID, the turntable and latterly electronics company based in Huntingdon. Are they based? In the UK. Anyway, and there is a deal afoot with the retailer, the online and also physical store retailer Richer Sounds, because AVID has teamed up with Richer Sounds to offer most of its range except the very high-end flagship stuff, but still plenty of expensive gear, via the retailer's website or telesales for delivery to anywhere in mainland UK, including any of its 50 shops nationwide. So that means, as you might expect, turntables, tone arms, cartridges, amplifiers, loudspeakers, cables and accessories. In addition, several Richer Sound stores, including Holborn, Manchester, Newcastle and Southampton, will be able to demonstrate AVID's entry-level Ingenium plug-and-play turntable in store. Plus, until the 25th of April 2024, get in while you can because time is ticking, the Ingenium plug-and-play turntable buyers can receive a free AVID platform. That's the name of the thing. It's a support platform. It's worth around, what, £250. So you have a voucher code online, in store or via telesales for this platform if you get there before the 25th of April 2024. Go get them, folks. Next, we're looking at Denon. And Denon has something called the Home 150 NV, and those letters are very important. I'll get to those in a moment. Upgrade. So Denon has announced a new version of its Home 150 speaker. It has been tweaked, redesigned for those that prefer multi-room connectivity without built-in voice assistants listening in. So this is a thing. This is a thing. I suppose it had to come at some point. Now we have speakers designed specifically without any voice control, any of that Amazon related, Google related, Hey Siri related stuff. So it's actually a feature, a desirable feature, would you believe, not to have a voice assistant in your little speaker or whatever you got, your gizmo. Saint preserve us, hey. Hence the Denon Home 150 NV, and I mentioned NV, well NV stands for no voice. NV, no voice. It features HEOS built in, because, you know, it's Denon, which allows you wirelessly to connect with compatible speakers, network players, or AV receivers. You can also stereo pair 2 home 150 NV speakers. You are able also to stream the usual services to the speaker, including Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music HD, Pandora, Tidal, TuneIn, and all the usual stuff via Wi-Fi, AirPlay 2, and Bluetooth. There is support for PCM up to 192 kHz, that's 24-bit, as well as DSD128. There's a USB port as well, and that allows you to push music from a USB storage device through to the speaker. Arriving in either black or white with a fabric grille, the Denon Home 150 NV is available from the 10th of July, and I have two prices. The first is £189 or $219. Next, Cambridge. Cambridge has announced the CXA81 amplifier, integrated amplifier Mark II. This is an upgrade from the Mark I. You'll be astounded to hear. Cambridge Engineering has done some retuning, it's done refining, and it's introduced, what is it? I think it's 10 new components into the circuitry itself. Gives the whole thing a bit of a sonic upgrade, I hear. This is a Class AB amp. It has a toroidal transformer within. That helps to push out 80 watts of power. There is a new ESS ES9018 K2M Sabre 32 DAC that joins the RCA and XLR inputs. Firstly, you have optical that supports up to 24-bit 96K, coax, which supports up to 32-bit 192, and USB, which goes the whole hog, 32-bit 384 or DSD 256. Bluetooth aptX HD is also built in. You get a built-in headphone amp as well, although you only get 3.5mm output, and you get a subwoofer output as well. The CXA81 Mark II will be available from May of this year, 2024. As I make this video, I'll put a link down below as per usual, and there are prices. There are 3 prices. And you can buy the actual box from cambridgeaudio.com, I'll put a link below, or authorized retailers, I think is the actual term for it. 3 prices for you. The first price, £999 or €1,199, or same for dollars, $1,199. That's Cambridge. On to Tannoy now. Now, in case you missed them, I think I may have mentioned Tannoy when I went to the Bristol HiFi show a couple of months back, and didn't really go into much detail. And I know they want to talk a little bit about what they're doing. So here we are. And the first thing I want to talk about is the 8-ohm Sterling 3 LZ Special Edition, which has a 10-inch dual concentric driver. So the tweeter and the woofer are merged together, placed on the same axis. This particular speaker is an homage, you might say, to a 1967 design simply called the 3LZ, and that featured the same driver. This latest version includes a hand-built cabinet with a pepper pot waveguide and Alnico motor system. To get these things moving, you'll need an amplifier. It doesn't have to be too powerful, 20 watts plus, you might say. The sensitivity is 93 decibels, and that's why. Prices, well, they are a pretty penny, folks. You're looking at $12,500, £11,995, or €12,500. But that's not it. There are other speakers too. There's a kind of trio in the Super Gold design range, and they vary in the size of their dual concentric driver because they each have one. So you get the SGM10, the SGM12, and the SGM15, and that numeral denotes the size of the dual concentric driver. So, for example, the SGM10 has a 10-inch dual concentric driver, which consists of a paper cone with a fabric surround, and there's a 1.3-inch tweeter in the middle. Again, for all of these speakers, you're going to need an amplifier of around 20 watts to get the thing going. The SGM10 has 89 decibel sensitivity. The SGM12, I think that's 91 decibel sensitivity. And the 15-inch, the larger 15-inch SGM15, that has 93 decibel sensitivity. Got a whole heap of prices here. So the SGM10, $5,998, £5,998, and €5,998. For the SGM12, dollars and euros are the same, 7,998 of each. And in terms of pounds, 8,249 for the SGM15, £11,498. And again, dollars and euros are the same, 11,998 of each. That is your hi-fi news. We will go on to what I like to call review notes. Now, I wanted to put out there a few comments on past reviews. That is, after some of the reviews although I do receive plenty of varied questions, you will often find certain questions popping up over and over. So I thought I'd address those recurring points just in case they crop up in your minds. You never know. So here we go. Firstly, you might have wondered why I reviewed the recent Goldmark Platimat, because it's had an obvious design flaw. In that particular case, the sort of label island was raised, and that was not a good thing. Well, the reason I reviewed it was because it was offered to me for review. This is also a commercially available product, and plenty of people had actually bought the thing. So I thought it might be useful for future customers to do the review and also alert those potential customers of the issues I found. After all, that's one of the reasons I review in the first place. Further, though, I had a chat with the designer of this mat who is kindly looking to produce a Mark II version, and I look forward to seeing that. And that apparently will have a label indent, a sort of concave label section. I am hopeful that the potentially good sound I heard on that review will be improved, one hopes. We will see. Now, I have to say, and my ego is rising rapidly here, I understand that, but I have to say that without my review, it is quite possible that a Mark II mat might not have even been mooted. At least that's the impression I received after talking to the designer of this mat. Next, when cleaning vinyl, whether it's a manual version, say with a disco anti-stat, or a record cleaning machine, one of those vacuum-based jobbies, or an ultrasonic machine, I get a very similar question. This keeps on popping up. Now, I use a surfactant method, and if you are not familiar with my guide, give me a shout, I'll send you a link, you can have a look yourself. But in that guide, I use a kabuki brush. So the brush itself has a very stubby handle, the bristles are quite short, it's very dense bristles as well, very useful for pushing in that surfactant into the grooves themselves. The question I am often asked is, what kabuki brush do I use to clean my vinyl? Well, I personally use a quality brush that was given to me by my wife because it's a makeup thing for ladies. Unfortunately, mine does not have a brand, but I can offer some general advice. Firstly, I would not buy the cheapest off the rack. Do not be afraid to spend a bit to make sure the build quality is decent and that hairs will not be shed from the bristles. On a similar theme, if you're going to buy a kabuki brush, don't buy the real McCoy, the real hair, I don't know what they use for these kabukis, badger hair or something or other, I am not sure. But I wouldn't get the real deal. I would get a kabuki brush with synthetic bristles. The synthetic bristles shed less than the real hair variants, put it that way. Synthetic is the way to go. Now, earlier on in this video, I mentioned that AVID is selling most of their gear through Richer Sounds now. And on that theme, I'm getting reports that Richer Sounds in the UK is offering the turntable, the Roxanne Atessa turntable, for a relatively low price. And I think when I did the review, it was retailing in excess of £1,000. Well, not anymore. That is, not anymore via Richer Sounds. Now, some readers and viewers I have talked to mention a price of around £399. Gotta say, I haven't seen that figure, although maybe I'm late to the party on that one. I have seen $499, which is still an amazing discount for this turntable. Now, the question I get is, should I go for it? Should I get one? And my answer is yes, yes, and yes. Run and get one before they all sell out, because I loved the Roxanne Atessa at over £1,000, and I recommended it at over £1,000. For 500, it's a steal. Get one. And that's it, folks. That's the end of this particular video. But before I go, let's give you an answer to that trivia question. And the question is, just to remind you, during the Live Aid broadcast in 1985, Phil Collins flew across the Atlantic on Concorde so that he could say he played with two acts on different sides of the Atlantic on the same day. Who were the two acts? And the answer is Sting in Wembley and Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin in Philadelphia. In both venues, Collins also performed in his own right. So, well done indeed if you got all of those facts correct. Thank you very much for staying to the end of this video. I'll be back same time, same place with another one of these, and I hope to have your company. Until then, folks, bye-bye for now.